Let's go. I'm better than ever, they never been better than I. Regarded the hardest and I ain't even reaching my prime. They hate that I'm great and they faking I'm real as they come. So sit back and let me show you how this shit is done. My composition, my propositions, I'm raping the system. I'm killing the competition and all of y'all are my victims. Eyes and oohs as I'm ripping the instrumental. Lyrical, individual, never been sentimental. I'm so hot every time that beat drop. And when I say I'm raping the system, about to be win number 942. Believe that.
You hear that opening bell. Your host, ArachnidSoul, once again in the booth, joined by Kid Ray 8. Today we have a fight of the century. Fight Night's Finest, aka Iron Mike Tyson, in the black with the white trim. Marciano, who is LX Dark Sniper. We see him there in the money green. Let's bring in the lad himself, Kid Ray 8. What's going on?
What is going on, ArachnidSoul? Thank you for having me here to call to action. We have one of the biggest fights in YouTube history and Fight Night Champion history, with LX Dark Sniper going up against Fight Night's Finest.
Well, really what we have tonight is a proof of concept. Is the community alive? Is it dead? I say it's very much alive and thriving. We've brought together two great communities here under the umbrella of Fight Night Champion. In the early goings, we see Mike Tyson dominating this first round, but not really going in deep. Just really trying to feel out Rocky Marciano, and Marciano, aka Sniper, we know, a lot of the time likes to go into the first round and almost skips the feeling out process. So confident is LX Dark Sniper that he's going to be able to beat Fight Night's Finest, aka Tyson, tonight. The straw poll says differently, but let's go back to the match here. Kid Ray, can you break down a little bit of the sweet science we're seeing here in the opening bout?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of bad blood between these two. It's LX's mission to break Fight Night's Finest. He wants to make sure that Fight Night's Finest is not the same man. And that's why I think we see Finest coming out a bit more aggressive than we'll normally see him do in most fights. But I'm starting to wonder if that was just part of Alex's game. He's trying to ploy him into coming forward in order to allow that breakage to happen. If I can take the outside away from you, if I can not allow you to be confident on the inside, then maybe, just maybe, that breakage can happen.
Straight up, move that body. You need to move that body. I need you to box him. Wait for him and boom!
There we see Christine holding the ring card, about to go into round number 2 here. That leopard bikini has never looked nicer. Mike Tyson, part in the hair, fighting out of Brooklyn, NYC. Always comes hard. It's the only way Cuz D'Amato would want him to do it.
This is your fight. You're in control.
Tyson's corner telling him this is his fight. He's in control, and I would agree. I think that LX Dark Sniper did win that first round, but Fight Night's Finest has been known to kind of come back a little bit later in the fight after he's felt out his opponent.
Yeah, he's traditionally a guy who doesn't like to win the early rounds anyway. It's more of a downloading process for him. And what do we mean by downloading, Arachnid? We mean that he likes to study what it is that his opponent does. He likes to have a certain amount of awareness, get some information. What kind of tendencies does his opponent have? What kind of combinations that his opponent likes to throw? And what is the timing of his opponent? So I think that is part of the strategy of Fight Night's Finest here, and why we see him putting the pressure onto Marciano. Now, as you said earlier, Finest did come onto the inside a lot in round number 1, and I did give the first round to LX Dark Sniper because I felt Finest was a bit too sloppy with his work. He was a bit too aggressive on the inside, and he was smothering some of his combinations. Let's see if he adapts with that with the last minute and 30 seconds here in round number 2.
Well, also what I'm interested to see here in the second round, we talked a little bit about how Tyson is fighting an inside fighter's game. Marciano we see fighting from the outside, both men now exchanging at center ring. The first round went pretty well for Marciano, and it's going to be interesting to see how many rounds and how long in this fight he sticks to the strategy of fighting on the outside. I think it actually worked better for him in the first round than it is in the second round. Tyson keeping his guard up, able to parry, able to stay back, as we see Marciano going in, and we have to wonder if Tyson is almost trying to not quite rope-a-dope, but get Marciano, aka Dark Sniper, to burn through some of that early stamina.
Yeah, cardio advantage definitely goes to Marciano in this matchup because he's just known as a cardio stud, man. This guy's always in the gym. You can always find him doing his road work. He's always trying to make sure that he's in peak condition when he comes into the ring, and that is the advantage is one of the reasons I believe he's trying to fight from the outside in this fight.
Okay.
That second round was extremely close. If I'm honest, I would give that one to Fight Night's Finest just slightly because of the 10-9 must rule we have. And as we go into the third round, it's going to be interesting to see if Alex Dark Sniper, aka Marcy Rocchiano, is going to switch up the way that he's playing here.
Yeah, I think Marciano needs to do a little bit of an adaptation. In that second round, what we're noticing is he's starting to miss a bit more. I think both fighters may have a bit of nerves coming into, since it's such a big fight, that we're seeing some nerves coming in from both fighters. But he's starting to fight Casper a little bit more than I would like to see from Marciano. So let's see what adjustments that he makes here in round number 3. As we see the scorecards pop up, only 33% landed for Marciano, and that's got to be alarming for his corner.
Well, he's landing 1/3 of his strikes, he's putting in work, and the question is, will this pay off for him eventually? Sometimes it's not a feeling out process of the opponent, it's a feeling out process of your own. I mean, you've been in the fight camp for 8 weeks, you've shadow boxed in the back, you've done everything you can do. You've spent the past 24 hours drinking water, trying to gain weight, trying to get as much power as you can when you step into the ring in this main event. It's going to be interesting to see what that feeling out process has been for Marciano. The assessment, not what his corner thinks of what he's doing, but what he thinks of what he's doing and how he's either going to continue or switch things up accordingly.
Well, he needs to switch things up now because right uppercut lands to the body, right hook to the body also lands. That's what counter left hook connects, that's for sure. Another power straight to the body, and Finest is really putting the pressure onto Marciano here. He lays out, gets back to center ring, maybe taking a bit of a breather after putting forth some very good work.
Well, also what we're talking about when we talk about Marciano's cardio, of course Mike Tyson's going to go to the body. Mike Tyson wants to drop that. These two guys are both similar in their aggression, but they're very different in terms of boxing style. Marciano, a guy who really likes to get in front of you and almost push you back. Whereas Tyson's a guy, he likes to fight upwards. He likes to get close. He likes the uppercuts. Almost looks like a Muay Thai fighter in some ways, throwing the axes, throwing the elbows, because that's how close and how sharp Iron Mike can be on the day.
Yeah, he has looked pretty sharp, especially with the accuracy. It's been very on point this round, and we see Alex Dark Sniper missing and whiffing in with the uppercut. Connects with 2 jabs there, jabbing it straight, and then that's going to be able to bring us to the end of round number 3.
If you're the corner of Marciano right now, do you get worried this early on? Do you say that we're basically trading with Tyson, and in the long run, maybe Fight Night's Finest might be able to stay a little bit more calm later on?
Well, I'll tell you what I am worried about. I'm worried about that cut that's under the eye. We saw the blood coming down his chest there, and it does make me pretty nervous for Alex Dark Sniper moving on later into this fight. In terms of a countermeasure, I'm worrying about the mental of Alex Dark Sniper right now. The pressure's been put onto him, and he has not adjusted well. And we're going into round number 4, and I would like to see him stop showing so much respect in terms of his range. As we can see, the cards come up here. 2 rounds to 1 in favor of Fight Night's Finest, in favor of Tyson. And once again, Alex Dark Sniper only landing 1/3 of his punches last round.
Well, let's talk about the fact that, yeah, we see that cut under the eye of Marciano. I don't know that it's going to be that big of a deal. To be honest with you, if it were over the eye this early on, I would think Tyson's going to focus it. He's going to target it. But I think being under the eye, I think this thing might still go the distance.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not in danger of the referee stopping the fight in the slightest, but it's something that messes with you. If your opponent can get in your head a little bit and it's like, God, this guy damaged me already, and I'm being pressured, how am I supposed to respond to that in a healthy way?
And I feel like many of the supporters of LX Dark Sniper are going to be watching this match, and this is the point where they're going to be thinking about the fact that even though this is not the fight they necessarily wanted to see, Dark Sniper in interviews, in promo videos, on social media, has been talking about finding a weakness in Fight Night's Finest game. And if I'm sitting in his fan pool, I've got to believe that maybe later on we're going to see that, and it's going to turn this thing around.
Yeah, and speaking of cardio, Finest has done a very good job of keeping that stamina management up as well, which is going to be something. He doesn't look tired in the slightest. And the first clinch is actually from Marciano, so that does have me a bit worried.
Well, no, I think that Marciano's been taking a lot of body shots. I wouldn't be too worried. It's still early on. He's clinching just a little bit, and that's just a tactic that boxers go to sometimes. I mean, everybody's not going to be Manny Pacquiao. Everybody's not standing up in between rounds, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so, but if you're supposed to be out here trying to break the will of your opponent, clinching is not the first thing. You don't want to be the guy to give the first clinch. Like, from a psychological perspective, you know, you don't want to be the guy to show the first sign of weakness. And I'm doing the quote fingers here with the weakness because the clinch shows that you need a breather, right? You know, you need to take a little bit of a breather. You need to relax a little bit. Let's make that silent agreement. I put my hands behind you. You put your hands behind me. Nobody punches. Everybody takes a break, and then we just cool out for the rest of the fight.
Well, I didn't really want to get into this, and it's been one of the unspoken things that a lot of people have been talking about going into this fight. Fight Night's Finest really prides himself on being a sim fighter, and it's not to say that LX Dark Sniper is not a sim fighter, but he's also more of a trolley fighter. He's a guy that's known to piece people up early on and then really just go on to embarrass them. And that really has divided the fan base. Some of the fans feel that LX Dark Sniper really isn't representing the sport in the clean fashion that he should, but at the same time, some people like the aggression.
Yeah, a lot of people like the aggression. It's definitely high value entertainment when you're able to constantly expose these spammers, and I think the sim community is proud of him in that aspect, and it's one of the reasons he's so popular. I mean, the man has 20K subscribers on YouTube. Let's give credit what credit is due. It's definitely something that a lot of people find entertaining. But what's not entertaining right now is this pressure from Fight Night's Finest. He's really putting on the combinations here in the 5th round.
Fight Night looks great in this 5th round, but also Marciano looks great. As a matter of fact, I would say this might be Marciano's best round of the fight so far. This in the 1st round, Marciano waking up a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of counter shots and landing. He steps back there looking for a counter jab to the body there. Finest tries to come back with the straight right hand over the top, and it didn't connect. 2 left hooks up top. Jab followed by the right hook, and the left hook to the body was also very good. Now we see another combination, another 3-piece combination. Marciano responds in kind, and this is, power straight almost connects too. This is a very dangerous aggression here. He's playing a very dangerous game here. He must really feel he can put him away, right?
Well, I mean, I think this was the style of round that many people anticipated this entire fight would be. These two guys parrying, countering, throwing blows at center ring. We see Marciano
power straight connects. Jesus, that's gonna hurt. Jab straight counters back from Finest. 2 power straights up top. Left hook, right hook to the body. We got a lot of combinations coming, but I think it's just a flash. I don't think he's too hurt around.
Fight Night, I have to admit, I saw Mike Tyson get his helmet on there. A little bit worried, backed up, back into the safety zone now as we wrap up round number 5. How did you see that round?
That's got to be a Marciano round. I mean, like, he hurt the guy, but Tyson, Finest fought back so well in that round. It's one of those rounds where it can go either way. Did you like the? Do you value the damage from the stun more? Do you value the combinations from early on? Do you value the counter punching over the power punches? It's one of those rounds that can go to either fighter.
Well, I mean, a lot of judges like to throw around the word work rate, and work rate means different things to different fans. Some people think work rate more talks about amateur boxing and the amount of fights an amateur boxer would take, make. Another way to look at work rate is how much work you're putting in a round in a fight. So I actually do give that round just like you do to Marciano. Tyson did piece him up early with the combos, but Marciano was the one who came close to finishing the round there and finishing the fight potentially.
Yeah, so as we see Finest now for the first time in this matchup actually using the outside. So that shows that his wits is still about him. He still understands, okay, if you do too much aggression and you get rocked, the best thing to do would be to take a round off. He also looked like he expended a crazy amount of cardio, throwing 121 punches last round. So seeing him on the outside here and seeing that footwork, that patented footwork, is something that, and we even see a clinch. That's something surprising.
Well, you know, we're seeing both guys here doing what they feel they need to do to win this fight. Mike Tyson now backing up into the corner. Very nice job there, avoiding an uppercut about 5 seconds ago. Marciano now putting the pressure on Tyson as we see Tyson now once again in that clinch. Tyson backing up to the corner, fighting on the outside, and now Marciano fighting on the inside. Complete reversal from what we saw in the earlier rounds.
Yeah, but the question here is it effective aggression? Like, one of the things that a lot of fighters are, you know, even in the sport of boxing today, is we see when a fighter's moving forward in combat sports, we think, oh, this guy's the one who's controlling things. But that's not always necessarily the case, because you have to be able to also land while you are going forward. And in the second half of the round, Marciano's doing a lot better job of that as that clinch comes in again. Both fighters utilizing the clinch, which is not something that we see too often in Fight Night Champion. It is worrisome, though, when you are backing up and you're still taking a lot of pot shots. So we see Finest here reestablishing pressure. Maybe he's got his legs back under him after that stun took place. Uppercut to the body, right hook to the body, and then a left hook up top was very nice from Finest. And the last 5 seconds of the round, we see both guys trying to score those last points as we move into round number 7.
Well, at this point, even though I'm giving the fight to Tyson, I can understand why Marciano would keep going. This fight is not over. If we're going on just points, you give it to Iron Mike. But if we're going to who's come closer to finishing this fight so far, I've got to give it to LX Dark Sniper. I've got to give it to Marciano. Like we said, he hit that flash before. That's where he's getting his confidence. He figures, okay, I'm not going to win on points, but I know how to do this. I've done it once. Let's see if I can do it a couple more times.
So in order to get those stunts, he did a counter punch, and he did it off the aggression, off of a mistake from Fight Night's Finest. Do you think he'll have another opportunity to capitalize again, considering how Finest has been working that range?
Well, the problem is when you hit something, you then put it in the mind of your opponent, and your opponent's thinking about it, the opponent's corner is thinking about it, and now the opponent's looking for that same thing to be telegraphed again. So really what Dark Sniper needs to do is go back to the boxing. We're going to use the term again. Go back to the sweet science. Wait for Iron Mike to forget about it, and then maybe come back in, try to hit that counter, and once again try to rock the former heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, well, one of the things that Finest we hear him talk about on his stream is snatching that wizard back, and we see him doing that. Snatching the wizard back means that you make your opponent live in the reality that you have created for him. So once you apply that pressure and you do your early work, what you try to do then is start to use the outside work. Switch the tempo up of the fight. Switch the rhythm and the pace up of the fight, and start looking for more counter opportunities. Start looking to box more, and continue to punish your opponent based off the tendencies that you see. And I think we're seeing that here again in round number 7. That approach that he took after round number 6 of using the outside and utilizing the outside well is it's transpiring again here in round number 7.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at the same time, we see Mike Tyson trying to come forward. Mike Tyson also wants to fight in the inside, and that's why we have two guys fighting on the inside right now. When we talk about the strategy that Mike Tyson usually brings into boxing matches, he's not traditionally a 12-round fighter. Mike Tyson's a guy, he doesn't care about the money per round. He's in there to knock people out as early as he can, and as this thing goes on, I wonder, is Tyson out in the middle of an ocean without a raft?
Yeah, it's definitely out of character for him to go ahead and be on the outside, but we have seen him utilize good footwork before. And sometimes being on the outside, the inside of your opponent, just means the inside of the range. So he doesn't necessarily have to be backing his opponent up to the ropes and looking to land combination after combination. And if it's a 12-round fight, you better be able to utilize some outside work here, because you can't always be aggressive. Sometimes you have to back up and give your opponent some room and pick your shots and take what your opponent gives you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really is about stepping and moving. Like you said, it's about picking your shots. The uneducated boxing mind would say, why aren't these guys just coming forward and having a hockey fight? That's a combination of them paying attention to how this fight has transpired so far, and also a sign of mutual respect.
Well, speaking of mutual respect, that scorecard showed nothing of the sorts for Marciano. He's not getting no love from the judges. He's only won 1 round in the fight thus far, and he landed, I think, at his lowest percentage yet at 22% last round. So it's not looking good for him. Arachnid is just not looking good.
Well, and I have to say, again, I believe Marciano might have taken the 1st and the 5th round. I mean, the judges looking at this thing, there's so many different ways. As Marciano that time gets flashed, Tyson gets caught in the hug, and that's because Marciano wanted to buy himself some time. That's a very smart tactic. Tyson trying to go balls to the wall here. Marciano backs up to the ropes. Marciano trying to trade. We saw both men go for uppercuts, nothing connected. Right uppercut, hook that time to the rib cage. Kid Ray, call the action.
We got double jab up top, left hook to the body is unable to connect. That straight right hand connects, but 2 uppercuts back from Alex Dark Sniper connects with accuracy. Now we see Finest pressuring Marciano into the ropes. Jab followed by the uppercut here. No good. Punishes the whiff there. The whiff of the uppercut with the straight right hand. And a double jab up top. Right uppercut followed by the sidestep and 2 jabs straight to the body. Straight right hand also connects. And 40 seconds into the round, Alex Dark Sniper is having that pressure put on him. He is receiving that work as an uppercut connects once again from Finest. Whiffs the right hand, whiffs the right hand to the body again, and flashes the jab. Now trying to establish that range from the outside. Trying to give himself a little bit of room. Trying to keep Tyson out with that stiff uppercut to the head. Push straight comes in. Another straight from Finest connects. And these men are just trading wildly as what a way to close out round number 8.
It almost reminded me of Hitman Hearns and Hagler, the 8 Minutes of Fury. Those guys throwing bones in that round. Lefts, rights, counter punches. Everything that you love to see in boxing. Neither man just focusing on the head the way so many rookies do. Also going to the body, working combinations. These two have both been in training. Fight Night has been doing, 4 or 5 hours a day training for this. Alex Dark Sniper, been going on, picking off bumps, picking off noobs online. Both guys coming in today with 2 different strategies, but both guys coming in today, most importantly, 100% prepared.
Yeah, so round number 9, after the fireworks that we saw last round, I can't wait to see what happens. Wait a minute, we got southpaw coming out here from Mike Tyson. Straight left hand connects, the little pot shot, and we're seeing that outside work again. We're seeing a lot of different styles from Tyson in this fight, aren't we?
Well, yeah, we're really seeing a lot of things from Tyson that we usually don't see. Tyson switching, as we saw at the beginning of this round, from orthodox to southpaw. Mike Tyson has so much power in both the rights and the lefts, but it's not the thing you usually see him do. And what happens is when you switch up stances and a guy's used to circling away from your power side, now he's circling towards it. So when you hit him, there's that much more impact.
Yeah, and we also saw the effects of that too. It's another thing that it does is you don't know the combinations and the time and the angles that's going to come out from this stance. So it's also a psychological impact onto the opponent. Now this guy's showing me a whole different look. How am I supposed to adjust to that?
Well, and Mike Tyson was a guy that a lot of fighters would not actually compete against. Don King had to go to work with a lot of guys just to get them in the ring with Mike Tyson. That on top of the fact that Tyson switched to orthodox. Orthodox fighters have a hard time getting a fight. I have to believe that if Mike Tyson had fought his career as orthodox, there might have only been 1 or 2 people on the planet that would want to fight him, and I'd call both those people complete idiots.
Yeah, if we saw him as a southpaw, for sure, that would definitely be... I don't think a lot of people would want to face Tyson in that predicament. Like, it's already hard enough to hit a southpaw as it is, and you have to do so many things technically right, and then you just got a guy with power in both hands on the inside, like kind of like how Earl Spence is these days. Like, Earl Spence is that guy, great power, great southpaw, great jab, great everything. And when you see him to switch it up like he did in the Mikey Garcia fight, where you see him using that outside work, now you know there's a whole different dimension to his game that you have to be worried about.
And what I think that Marciano is thinking right now, as we see that cut opened even more now down across the bridge of the nose still much wider under the left eye that time, we have to think that Marciano feels he's losing this fight. He's not going to win this thing on points unless he really comes back, and even then, he's got to look for a knockout at this point.
Yeah, one of the things I'm really worried about here is we know Alex Dark Sniper is a guy who does not lack confidence. But is his confidence a bit shaken at this point, knowing that he's down on the cards, he's losing every round, he's lost on the inside, he's lost on the outside, he's been out counterpunched, he's been outmaneuvered. What do you think his confidence is like at this point in the fight?
I think his confidence goes back to he's been knocking out people online for years. He's been dominating people for years online. He's been here before. He's made the sweaty comeback. And for anybody out there thinking that Tyson has this in the bag, stay tuned, because I got to think that Marciano's going to maybe pull one out here. Let's see.
And you can see that confidence is not shaken in the bit. You see that in and out movement. You see the back steps and the side steps. You see him coming forward. You see him trying to win the fight. There's a lot of guys in these situations. You see him back up to the other side of the ropes. Low blow from Finest there. That is very unlike him. But we also see now Finest switching between orthodox and southpaw, really playing within that range of the power hand, like switching the ranges to be able to land the power hand from different angles. So he's really showcasing a lot of skills in this fight.
We're really seeing some great footwork from Iron Mike here. One of the things about Rocky Marciano, he had everything you would want to have as a fighter, except the footwork was not there. He was very flat-footed, but it was due to his aggressiveness, the skill, the prowess, the technique he had, and that strong jaw that he still had a very successful career.
Yeah, he went undefeated in his career. I believe he finished his career 49-0. And even though he wasn't the most technical guy, what he didn't have in technique, he made up for in brute strength and with work rate. Constantly throwing those punches out there, breaking down the blood vessels of his opponent. Like, Marciano was definitely he was a trooper for sure on the inside.
And really ahead of his time. I mean, when I think of guys that would just knock your block off, I think of guys like Mike Tyson. I think of George Foreman, arguably the hardest hitter in the history of boxing. But Rocky Marciano, a guy who fought in the 1940s basically to 1950s. I mean, 45 to 55 were his years. There's not as much film on him to study. There's not as much film on him for fans to watch. But this guy could smash concrete bricks in his sleep if he ever wanted to.
That is for sure.
We see Mike Tyson here getting ready to go into the next round, and Tyson very confident here. Tyson's been winning this fight. We have a couple of rounds left to go. There once again, you see our lovely ring girl.
Arachnid, we got to talk about this. These are the championship rounds. This is do or die. We're going into round number 11 here. Like, this is where you make it or break it. If you can't hang in these rounds, then you should not be here.
Well, no, we get into the championship rounds here. We're pretty much getting into the championship minutes. Iron Mike figures all I've got to do, probably not even go for a knockout. Just keep boxing. I'm up on points. I got a little bit left, and then I'm going to go out. I'm going to have some pizza, some of that great pizza they have here in Manila. I had some the other day. It was amazing. We'll go across the street ourselves. But let's get back to this match and call what's going on here in the 11th round.
Well, what we see here is Finest looking like he's trying to put Alex Dark Sniper away. We see him on the inside, applying that pressure, using that jab in order to get it to the inside. Still some body work here to try to set up the headshots. A lot of combinations here, right uppercut to the body. You see him using it. That's a very underrated combination right there. Right uppercut to the body, and then coming up with the same uppercut to the head. That is definitely a very effective technique. But we see Marciano not backing down. We see him still trying to use the counter maneuvers on the outside with the side step uppercut. We see him using a little bit of that head movement, leaning back to try to avoid some of those uppercuts and some of those hooks. And then a quick counter shot downstairs to the body from Finest with the side step, being able to read the tendency and react accordingly. And just to talk about last round a little bit, Marciano only landed 23% of his shots last round compared to Finest landing damn near 50% of his punches. So it's not looking any better for Marciano this round, as Tyson is in full seek and destroy mode with these straights to the body, constant work rate. Everything is not throwing hard, but it's just to let his opponent know there's always going to be something coming at you. There's always something to worry about. There's always something for you to defend. Head upstairs, downstairs, with the variation, the high IQ offensively. Like, this has just been a miraculous performance from Fight Night's Finest.
Fight Night's Finest has had a miraculous performance, but let's say a couple of things nice here about LX Dark Sniper. I'm a guy, I can talk. I've got the gift of gab in multiple sports, and I have to tell you, I've seen many people in the Fight Night Champion community do interviews, do promos, put videos up, and the videos that LX Dark Sniper have put up recently, talking about Fight Night's Finest, talking about some of these fights, it's some of the best talk I've seen in the Fight Night community, and let's give him more credit to say, as we head into this final round, he has not given up. A lot of people would have thrown in the towel. He's going to go down, he's going to go out like a man, but he's got one round to turn things around. He's got one round to come back into this thing. He's got one round to solidify his legacy as the best in the Fight Night community. Let's see how it plays out in this final round of amazing boxing.
For sure. Jab, straights, and a headbutt coming out from Marciano. That is surprising. He wants it bad. He's trying to damage him any way he can.
We've seen hugging. We saw a low blow from Tyson earlier. We see Marciano there with the headbutt, and the judges have taken 1 point. It is not a point that Rocky can afford to lose.
Yeah, especially if he wants to come out. But I like that attitude of, I'm going to get this back by any means necessary. And you see, that's somebody who really wants it. Someone who's really going to go after that win. And we see the confidence from LX Dark Sniper has not shaken in the least. Finest throwing some crazy haymakers. That left hook coming out very, very hard. A headbutt of his own. Responding in kind. These two guys are going after it here in round number 12, Arachnid.
We had some boxing, and here in the 12th round, this thing has broken out into a street fight. Iron Mike feeling real confident here. He knows he's won this fight. A lot of people, to give Iron Mike credit, would just back off at this point. Mike got flashed earlier in the fight. A lot of people would not want to take the risk. You've got 90 seconds left. Many people would get on their bicycles. At the same time, LX Dark Sniper, Rocky Marciano, no shame, came in here tonight, fought with all his heart, still fighting in the 12th round. It does not look like Marciano will win this fight, but what a tremendous showing he had in a couple of rounds here. And also, like I said, what a tremendous build-up. It's just great to see this community coming back together, and I would hope that some of the people at Electronic Arts would take notice of this.
Yeah, well, I definitely hope so. Let's take a notice of the last 30 seconds. Straight right hand is unable to connect. We see the head movement coming out from Finest, able to dodge some of the hooks there from Rocky Marciano. Uppercut to the body is unable to land. Push straight has been a patented technique from LX Dark Sniper. Has not been able to land it tonight. Double hooks to the body came in a couple of seconds ago. Straight right hands are traded. One to the body, one to the head. Left uppercut. Finest really putting it on him. And that is going to be the end of this fight. Let's go ahead and send it up to the judges in Arachnid to call who won this fight.
Well, you saw Fight Night already raised his hand. Mike Tyson already had his fist up in the air. I agree with that decision. We go to the judges and they agree with that decision. Fight Night's Finest, the Sophic commentator out of Brooklyn, NYC, just like Iron Mike. Here tonight in the big fight, everybody's been anticipating it, gets the Duke over LX Dark Sniper. No shame to that man. Great fight, great heart, great talk. For Kid Ray 8, it has been your host, ArachnidSoul. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, and please bring this community back together. You can find yours truly at youtube.com/ArachnidSoul. Thank you, good fight, and good night.